All right, everybody, buckle up because today we are diving headfirst into some seriously big questions.
I'm talking universe-sized questions.
No,
Yeah.
seriously, though.
Yeah?
We're
Oh.
talking about the nature of time, the nature of reality, what it even means to be an observer. And to guide us on this mind-bending journey, we're digging into some fascinating excerpts from a text that's had me thinking all week.
Oh, this text is a wild ride. Get ready to question like every assumption you've ever had about how things work.
Exactly. It all starts with this deceptively simple question.
Huh.
What if this whole time as a straight line thing is more of a human invention than a universal truth? You know, past neatly tucked behind us, future stretching out ahead. What if it's not like that at all?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because so much of how we experience the world is tied to that linear view of time.
Totally. But the text points out that other cultures, especially in the East, have these long-standing traditions of seeing time as cyclical. Think about the seasons they cycle through year after year, always coming back, always renewing.
Right, and that cyclical view, it pops up everywhere once you start looking for it, the way we talk about history repeating itself.
Exactly. It's like, what if all of existence, not just the seasons, operates on this kind of loop?
Well, that's the concept of eternal recurrence. The idea that everything that's happened will happen again and again an infinite number of times.
Whoa. Okay, so let me get this straight. If you could rewind the universe, every single event, every detail would eventually play out in exactly the same way.
Precisely. Your birth, the invention of the wheel, even this conversation would all happen again, down to the last atom.
Now, that is a mind-blowing concept. You know, it makes you think about free will. And if we really have a choice in anything, if everything's just going to repeat over and over.
Absolutely. It challenges a lot of our core assumptions. And it gets even more mind-boggling from here.
Oh, I bet it does. The text mentions something called the block universe theory. And let me tell you, this one really threw me for a loop.
Ah, yes. The block universe. It's not an easy concept to wrap your head around.
Understatement of the year. So for those of us who haven't quite reached genius level yet, break it down for us. What is this block universe theory all about?
Well, imagine instead of time unfolding like a line, it's more like everything, the past, present, future, exists simultaneously.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying all of time, every moment already exists, like it's all laid out, but we're just moving through it.
That's the gist of it, yeah. It's like everything that ever was and ever will be is already out there in this four-dimensional block.
So instead of a river, it's more like a frozen lake.
Sure.
Every moment just kind of suspended there.
Exactly. In the block universe, it's all happening at once. Your first steps, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, even what you'll have for dinner tonight, it's all already happening in this four-dimensional framework.
Okay, now my brain is officially fried. Because if everything is already predetermined in this block universe, then what does that mean for free will? Do we really have any control over our choices if everything is already set?
That's a huge question, and to be honest, there's no easy answer. But one way to think about it is that even if everything is predetermined in some grand cosmic sense,
Yeah.
we still experience the act of making choices as real.
Right. It's like we feel like we have free will, even if on some cosmic level, it's just an illusion.
Exactly. Our experience of reality is still our reality, even if there might be a larger, more complex reality that we don't yet fully grasp.
Okay, I think I need a minute to process that. But you know what they say? Just when you thought you'd fallen down the rabbit hole deep enough, the text throws in another twist.
Oh, I know it's coming, and let me tell you, it's a doozy.
You're telling me. Because this is where the text goes from mind-bending to truly mind-blowing. It connects this whole block universe thing to the equally strange world of quantum physics.
Because of course it does. And you know what? It actually makes a strange sort of sense.
Does it? Okay, well, enlighten us then. How does quantum physics tie into this already incredibly complex picture of reality?
Well, it starts with this idea of quantum indeterminism, which basically throws the whole predictable universe thing out the window.
Wait, so instead of a nice, orderly universe following predictable laws, we're talking about, what, a cosmic game of chance?
In a way, yeah. See, in classical physics, the kind that governs our everyday world, if you know the initial conditions of a system, you can generally predict how it will evolve.
Right, like if you drop a ball, you know it's going to fall to the ground.
Precisely. But in the quantum world, at the subatomic level, things are much, much fuzzier. You can only talk about probabilities, not certainties.
So it's kind of like the difference between knowing exactly where a train will be based on its timetable versus trying to guess which way a leaf will blow on a windy day.
That's a great analogy. And this inherent uncertainty, this fuzziness at the quantum level, it challenges the very notion of a predetermined universe.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that because the quantum world is fundamentally uncertain, the future is also uncertain, even in this block universe model?
That's one way to look at it. It's like even if all of time does exist simultaneously, the inherent uncertainty of the quantum realm might introduce a degree of wiggle room.
Wiggle room, huh? I like the sound of that. But I have to ask, because I know it's coming, the text doesn't just stop at quantum indeterminism, does it?
It does not.
Hmm.
This is where we get into the really weird stuff. The role of the observer.
Ah, yes, the
Sure.
observer. Because it's not like we can talk about quantum physics without bringing up everyone's favorite thought experiment, Schrodinger's cat.
It wouldn't be a proper deep dive without it, would it?
Absolutely not. So, for those who need a refresher, what is Schrodinger's cat, and what does it tell us about the role of the observer in quantum physics?
Well, in the simplest terms, Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment that illustrates this crazy concept of superposition.
Superposition. Okay, I think we need a definition for that one too. What does that even mean?
Basically, superposition means that in the quantum world, particles exist in a state of multiple possibilities until a measurement is made.
So in the case of Schrodinger's cat, it's not that the cat is actually both alive and dead at the same time. It's more like, until we make an observation, it exists in a state where both possibilities are equally real.
Precisely. It's the act of observation, of measurement, that seems to force the universe to pick one outcome.
Okay, so in this scenario, our observation is what collapses all those possibilities into one concrete reality.
That's the general idea. It's like the universe is holding its breath, waiting for us to look before it decides what's going to happen.
That is both utterly bizarre and strangely beautiful at the same time. But here's what I don't get. What, or perhaps even who, qualifies as an observer in this quantum sense?
You know, that is the million-dollar question. And believe me, the answer the text proposes is not what you'd expect.
It's like, okay, looking at something forces the universe to choose, but who or what even counts as an observer in all this? And get this, the text actually brings in Carl Jung.
Now, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Right, Carl Jung, the psychologist. Specifically, it talks about his idea of the collective unconscious.
Okay, we are really going deep now.
For those of us who might need a little refresher on our Psych 101, could you give us a quick breakdown of what that even is?
Sure. So Jung believed that beneath our individual conscious minds, there's this deeper level of interconnectedness. It's kind of like a shared reservoir of universal experiences, archetypes, maybe even memories.
So that's like a universal mind that we all tap into, this sea of shared experiences underneath our individual awareness.
That's a great way to put it. Jung believed that this collective unconscious, as he called it, is where all those universal themes and symbols come from.
Okay, I'm with you so far, but how does this connect to quantum physics and this whole observer dilemma? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm not seeing the connection yet.
Well, buckle up, because this is where the text makes a seriously bold leap. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, the observer that collapses the wave function isn't our individual minds. What if it's this collective unconscious?
Hold on. Are you saying that this universal mind, this collective unconscious, could be what's making reality real for everyone?
It's a mind-blowing idea, right? It
Mhm.
suggests that reality isn't just being collapsed by our individual observations, but by this much deeper, universal kind of observation. And it's rooted in this shared unconscious space.
So to put it another way, are we all like collectively dreaming reality into existence?
It's a fascinating parallel, and the text does touch on that.
Wow, okay. Even if we don't take it literally, it still raises some major questions. Like, what does it mean if we're all contributing to the collapse of the wave function, even unconsciously? Are we all shaping reality with our thoughts and intentions, even if we don't realize it?
The text doesn't pretend to have all the answers, but it points out that this model of reality, where consciousness is so central, it actually lines up with a lot of ancient spiritual ideas.
It's true, a lot of spiritual traditions talk about oneness and interconnectedness, the idea that we're all part of something much larger than ourselves. But hold on, just when I thought it couldn't get any weirder, the text throws in another curveball.
Oh, and what's that?
It brings up the simulation hypothesis.
Ah, yes. The idea that we're all living in a sophisticated computer simulation. A classic.
Right. And it got me thinking, what if this collective unconscious, this sea of shared consciousness, isn't just some abstract psychological concept, but a fundamental part of the simulation itself?
Interesting. You're suggesting it's like a shortcut for rendering reality in a simulated universe?
Maybe. If you were designing a simulation with billions of conscious minds, rendering every detail individually for each one would be crazy complex, right?
Yeah.
So what if instead you had this shared reality framework, this collective unconscious, that acts as a base code, a foundation on top of which individual experiences are layered?
So the collective unconscious would be like a shared canvas, and our individual minds are adding their unique brushstrokes to it. I like that.
Exactly. And what's even more wild is that if reality IS being simulated, then the nature of time and this whole observer effect, they might work completely differently than we think.
That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. But for now, I think we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. We've gone from
Hmm.
cyclical time to the block universe, to quantum indeterminism, the collective unconscious, and even the simulation hypothesis.
Hmm.
My head is spinning. So before we go any further, maybe you can help us bring it all together. What are the key takeaways from all of this?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that these are all theories, but they challenge us to look beyond our everyday assumptions about how reality works and consider some really mind-blowing
I
possibilities.
mean, seriously, it's like we've been peeking behind the curtain, getting a glimpse at the machinery that makes the universe tick.
And what's incredible is that the machinery might be even more complex and interconnected than we ever imagined.
Right. I mean, we started with this idea of time as this straight line,
Hmm.
but then we got introduced to cyclical time, eternal recurrence, the block universe, all these concepts that just throw everything we thought we knew about reality out the window,
And then, just when we thought we had a handle on things, we jumped headfirst into the quantum realm.
where just looking at something can change the outcome. It's wild. Like we're active participants in creating reality, not just passive observers.
Which is a pretty powerful thought when you really let it sink in.
It really is. And then, just for kicks, we threw in the collective unconscious and the simulation hypothesis.
Talk about a brain workout. But in a way, that's what this is all about, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Expanding our minds, questioning everything we thought we knew, embracing the mystery of it all.
Because even if we don't have all the answers, even if some of these ideas are still just theories, they change our perspective.
Absolutely. They change how we see the world, how we see ourselves, our place in it all.
Instead of this fixed, predictable machine, it's like the universe is this fluid, interconnected, almost conscious entity. And the really wild part is we're all a part of it, all contributing to it.
Exactly. And that, I think, is a really empowering thought.
Because if our observations, our intentions, our consciousness itself can influence reality even in some small way, then we have this incredible responsibility to choose what kind of reality we want to create.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's something to really ponder on long after this deep dive is over.
For sure. So to everyone listening, thank you for coming along on this incredible journey with us. We hope you've enjoyed exploring these mind-bending ideas as much as we have.
And remember, keep asking those big questions. Keep exploring. Keep your mind open to all the possibilities.
Because the universe is a wild and wondrous place, and there's always more to discover. Until next time, keep diving deep.